I have just finished assembling our digital photo albums and videos from the photos and videos we took during our 2-week adventure in northern Arizona and southern Utah. This will serve as an introduction to what you can expect from the rest of the videos if you decide to experience them. We drove from Phoenix, Arizona to Blanding, Utah. Blanding served as our base for exploring the parks on this side of Utah. After a good night's sleep, we headed for Moab and the entrance to Canyonlands National Park. This northern section is referred to as the Island in the Sky district. We took 2 hikes while in Canyonlands National Park. The first one is called Mesa Arch, with its graceful arch set on the edge of the canyon. The other is called the Grand View, and it does live up to its name. On the 2-mile hike, you are treated to numerous grand views of the canyon. After exploring Canyonland National Park, we decided to take the Scenic Byway to Tropic, Utah, which is where our bed and breakfast was located for the next 2 nights. The drive took all day and was filled with several stops to admire and photograph the scenery. We crossed the upper end of Lake Powell and drove through Capitol Reef National Park, then into the Dixie Forest and the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument. At one stop we viewed ancient native pictographs, and another a Mormon one-room schoolhouse dating back to the 1800s. We took a detour to see Kodachrome Basin State Park. While there, we took 3 hikes: a nature trail, a trail to see an arch, and the canyon trail. The canyon trail took you up a narrow canyon, and you topped out at the top of the canyon wall, where you could take a walk out into space on a 3-foot wide trail with sheer drop-offs on both sides. This trail was not for anyone afraid of heights. After Kodachrome, we continued on to our bed and breakfast at Tropic. This would be our home base while we explored Bryce Canyon National Park. Bryce was interesting with its hoodoos, canyon rim walks, and the trail that dipped into the canyon for a closer look. I even took a trail down to the canyon floor, where I visited the Queen's Garden and explored the hoodoos for myself. After a few days at Bryce, it was time to move on to our next bed and breakfast at Kanab, Utah, and one of the Park Service's crown jewels, Zion National Park. Zion National Park was definitely created for visitors that enjoy the outdoors and strenuous exercise. With its 18 designated hikes, you cannot help getting exercise. My favorite hikes were Angel Landing and the Narrows. Angel Landing was my favorite, with Walter's Wiggles at the beginning, the chain climbing up dizzying heights in the middle, and its panoramic views of Zion Canyon from the top. The Narrows was a close second, with its sheer canyon walls and the Virgin River that served as the only trail in most spots. As with all good things, the time came when we had to move to the next adventure, which turned out to be Antelope Canyon on the Navajo Nation Reservation. The vertical walls have been carved into swirling Navajo sandstone. The slot portion of the Antelope Canyon is so narrow that in places a person has to turn sideways to squeeze through. The vertical canyon walls twist and turn and seem in places to almost end or double back on themselves. At specific times during the day, the sun will cast a beam of light through a space in the upper canyon walls, looking like a laser beam. Rarely could you see blue sky. Some of the views were absolutely otherworldly. Again, we had to move on, and this time to the north rim of the Grand Canyon. We arrived just before sunset for the spectacular show of the canyon at sunset. This was a fitting end to our September 2010 adventure. It was now time to go home. But thanks to our photos and videos, we will be able to relive this adventure over and over